Good day everyone, so hope you're all doing really well. We've just had the Genshin Impact 5.8 live stream, and I want to talk not just about that, but the implied future direction that we're gonna have for Genshin going forward. So it's gonna be, there's quite a lot to touch on. But when it came to the 5.8 live stream, there were two things that stood out to me. The first being the Yelan skin, which just it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm not going to buy it simply because I already have enough crystals, so I can just grab it. And secondly, the fact that we've got a limited time, like typical limited time summer event, but that the area, the map, is going to be permanent. I wish Hoya would make the older map versions downloadable optional DLC, so for those that don't have storage space, that are losers playing on mobile, you'll be fine, but for the rest of us that are on PC, we can have the option to go back and enjoy those places. Sorry I have to put it like that, but I mean, I think just the fact that Genshin is so mobile first has really kind of skewered its potential, but in any case. Alright, let's talk a bit about the live stream in a bit more detail. So, one of the things we saw was Inefa, the new character. She's obviously representative of what's going to happen in Not Cry, and I think if I had to take a guess, and I could be wrong about this, but a lot of the reactions we saw in the Imaginarium Theatre, like that little thundercloud that Nefa has with the lunar charge reaction, and then also more recently that little dendroforms that you can then infuse with cryo and electro. I think all of these sorts of gimmicks and mechanics are gonna come up in Not Cry, and that's a good thing. It's good that we get more gameplay diversity with reactions. The only question is going to be a case of balance, because you see, the thing about Natlan and Fontaine is that the balance of Genshin Impact has really been quite whack. And the true issue with this is not that you're going to upset a bunch of whale players that spent a lot on all the characters and now the new characters just do so much better, and you know they're a bunch of losers for spending their money. No, that's not the issue with power creep. It's not that's not really the issue. The big issue is game progression, because whether you're an F2P player or a person that spends on the game, you've got a limited amount of resources, stamina that you can like effectively obtain, and there is a cap on your account growth. So what happens is when you spend a lot of resources and even real world time into building characters, power creep has the intended effect of completely devaluing all of this. Whether you've spent like to get these resources or whether you've just grinded it out, power creep universally makes all of your past efforts a lot less worth it, which obviously feels very, very bad. And I think if Genshin wants to retain a lot of their players, going into Not Cry, you definitely want to expand the game more horizontally. So release characters in Not Cry with specific reactions, but make sure that a lot of different characters can hook on into it. So with an FO, we clearly saw that you can use anyone on your current roster. You just need an effort to, you know, do the lunar charge reaction, which I think is perfectly fine. It's the same like with Nilo. You've got a very limited reaction, but a lot of Dendro and Hydro characters and combinations can come out of it. That is perfectly fine. But when you have characters like Mavuika that just push the damage ceiling of the game, and then suddenly you release a Mizuki, and it's just like, what the hell are the devs thinking in terms of game balance? Things do feel a bit wonky. So I hope that Not Cry is going to be a version that expands the game, that we're going to have more enemies that encourage you to use some of these mechanics, but that it's not going to be unfairly punishing. You see, what's unfairly punishing about the Mavuika and the Natlan and Fontaine situation with power creep is that you need the latest characters that were designed to work well with each other in order to hit those damage ceilings, and that is the problem. But whereas if you just need one specific character to deal with a mechanic that is not even that annoying, but that you'll just have a relatively a bit of a decent advantage against, that in my opinion is fine, because it's at least the effort and the account progression of my past units still makes a lot of sense. Well, at least that's how I see the world. So effectively Not Cry can absolutely be a version that can attract new players. It can definitely be a thing that spices up a lot of life, breathes in life into all the characters, and it's really generally in Hoyo's best interest to keep the game from not inflating in power creep, because then you can keep on selling your older units, because then you breathe in life and then you can utilize them, market them. I mean, we were told that during Notcry, a lot of the characters and cast in Genshin Impact is going to find relevance again, but what relevance is there for a character like Kokomi if you don't have characters that can significantly boost her up, or at least, when she's included as part of it, her impact becomes more and more meaningful. That is kind of my way of thinking, because I don't want to spend on Genshin Impact. Well, I haven't gotten a C6 character in more than a year in Genshin, and I'm going to keep on not getting any of these characters because I felt that Hoyo has absolutely done the past characters dirty. And in a certain sense, getting a new character to fix an old problem is obviously the monetizable way of doing it, but it's not a way that feels good to me as the consumer, if I can be honest. But we've spoken a lot about that in the past on the channel. So I don't know. Look, when it comes to 5.8, I think it's going to be a fun time. I think Notcry looks very, very interesting, but I'm still worried about the direction it's going to take. I don't want to be trapped in a situation where I've pulled for a character that looks great, might have a compelling story, and so on, and then I find that that character is just so specific to using with other Notcry units. It's just, it might be very, very painful. Nothing would, I think, hurt me more than if, like the Damselette, if she herself is hyper specific to you having pulled the latest units, like Mavuika is. Like it would just be a bit of a pain for me, and I think that would definitely kill my motivation for continuing to play Genshin. But we'll see how things pan out. Look, 5.8 definitely seems like a bit of a breath of fresh air. We desperately needed a bit more fun content that you can use different characters in, but ultimately I think summer events have always been like a success in my opinion in Genshin. I just hope that the successes continue and that the game is going to be in a state that we all can enjoy, new players, old players, and that the end game content like Stygian Onslaught is kind of adjusted to reflect that more broader appeal than just a what do you call it, a whale war. But okay, look, those are my opinions. Let me know what you guys think, and yeah, thank you so much for watching. Cheers.